So this idea of like, how can man be pure? I'm not, Eliphaz is saying something about himself. He's like, I'm not pure. I don't know what's right or wrong. So I'm going to just trust this, and compare that with sort of the reckless boldness of Job, who's like, I'm innocent. I'm blameless. I'm righteous. I don't know what's happening, but I'm going to speak out of the bitterness of my heart, and I'm going to trust that I'll be able to say this before God, that God will hear me. Like Eliphaz doesn't have that at all. He's like, let's just obey the rules. He's not seeking God. Eliphaz isn't radically pursuing God like Job is. And he criticizes Job for being messy and not I don't know what the word is.
Like it's just interesting because this conversation that Job wants to have with God, psychologically speaking, there's a lot of interesting aspects to that, right? Because I'm just going to close the door. Hang on. There's this idea of mirror neurons, right? So when you have a real conversation with somebody, and I mean like in face-to-face in real life conversation, if you were to do an experiment, you would see that people are making little tiny motor movements mimicking the person who's talking. Mm-hmm. And I mean, we might know someone who actually moves their lips, right, and aren't aware of it, right? Or makes the face or whatever. Mm-hmm. Well, that is a result of these mirror neurons, right? So, and there is an actual connection made, like a intangible but very felt connection between the people who are having the real conversation. And there's a reaction time. You have a reaction time to things that are said that is like faster than reaction times in traffic. People can finish each other's sentences. They can, all kinds of things when they're in a real conversation. Mm-hmm. And when they're in like a conversation like this, the body's actually constantly trying to connect with these mirror neurons. And so there's this, they've noticed because of the COVID crisis and lockdowns, that people in Zoom meetings suffer exhaustion, especially if they're doing it all day long, because they are what they call present in the absence of the other. Right? And so their bodies are constantly trying to, it's like your camera's constantly focusing. Their body is constantly trying to connect, right, to the other person. Now, Eliphaz doesn't want to have a conversation with God, and Job wants to have a conversation with God. Job wants a face-to-face, okay? Then there's the whole other thing about resonance and the voice and speech, right? And what that does physically to the body of the other person, because it has an effect. Resonance has an effect. We all know that. Like, it's a real thing. You can't see it, you can't hold it, but it's a thing, right? And the instrument of resonance that we are given is our voice. So I find it very interesting that Job wants to speak to God. And he's more than once said, look, call on me and I will answer. Or I'll call on you and you answer me. But he wants this resonance.
Right.
He also wants this mirror neuron connection to God. Because that's the thing that really tells us what's the what. Okay? That's why we can finish one another's sentences. That's why our whole body is affected. Like sometimes we end up having goosebumps or our hair stands on end when someone's talking about something because we even call it that, resonate with them, right?
Right. So,
and Eliphaz, he doesn't want any of that. And I find that kind of interesting because I think that experience of being in the presence of the other and having a real conversation is transformative.
Mm-hmm.
right? And it requires humility. You know, like if anybody ever shoplifted as a kid and they had to go and apologize to the shop owner. That's transformative. When you give a face-to-face, like you're like, can I just call him? You know,
Yeah.
Can I write him a letter? You know, nobody wants to do the face-to-face, right? And that's kind of the feeling I have from Eliphaz. Like he's like, nah, not that, right?
Yep.
So I just want to say,
yeah, because I think he's fundamentally afraid of God. Like his dream even scared him.
true.
And so he's like this, and he's trying to, you know, he's taken back by sort of Job's boldness and recklessness, and what it appears to be reckless to him. Why would you do that, Job? Why will you say these things? You know, he's like, the words which will do no good. And then after he says, basically, Job, what you're talking about is doing no good, then the little hope he had about the shoot coming from the tree, he just is like, no, the roots dry up.
Yeah.
The fruit falls off. The blossoms, they're dead, Job. He just, he goes quickly from kind of not understanding what Job says to condemning what Job says to absolutely just trying to destroy Job's hope. Like just bam, 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 bam. And, you know, this is, and like you said before, like this is how people are. People do this.
Yeah, it's brutal.
All right. So I think this is we should call it.
Sure.
Thanks again, Sherry.
Yeah, thank you, Jess.